Welcome back to 100.7 FM, The Score. It's High School Fan Zone on a Wednesday night. We're going to make the transition from Friendship to Lubbock Cooper in the Pirate Fan Zone. We have special teams coordinator and cornerbacks or safeties coach.
Safeties coach.
Brenon Rhodes.
Yes,
and
sir.
One of his guys, right? Would you tell me the other day you're a safety?
Yes, sir.
Karter Gentry, who I verified this with Chip, may be the fastest dude walking the halls at Lubbock Cooper right now. Fair to say?
Yeah, it's pretty fair.
You're in the hunt. We'll say
Yes,
that.
sir.
He said that Michael Deaver might argue with that he may want to set up a foot race.
It depends on the football field or the track. You know, I think Mike might have me on the track. I mean, on the football field, but on the track, I think I got Mike.
Pull that up a little bit closer, make sure.
Sorry.
Mom and Dad
All
can hear you. Malik, where's Malik in that mix?
His acceleration is pretty good, but I got him beat on the track as well. So PJ's up there, but I mean, he just suffered that terrible season injury with the ACL tear. So I think I got it.
All right. Well, if you've got it, you may as well. And Brennan, you're a guy who gets to coach him, and I know Malik's back there in the secondary as well. You've got some cats back there to coach.
Yes, sir. It's a fun group to coach for sure.
And that's so. Before the season, when I was talking to a couple of you guys, and I may even age myself out of you, Brennan. I said I can't remember who I was talking to. You guys don't have a Kyler Jordan. You don't have a Kobe McKenzie this year. Your guys are probably a little less known. And I mentioned to him about the Miami Dolphins no-name defense. Mm-hmm. And whoever I was talking to just kind of looked at me like, I don't know. Yeah, that was even before I was much of a football fan. It goes back to the early 70s, I think. And Chip and I have talked along the way. You do have guys who have made splashes and have made now. It was funny the other night. Somebody up in the press box at Dick Bivens Stadium, about the third or fourth play in, huge hit, and he looks down and he goes, "Who's that number 5?" I told Carter the other day, Cole Stanzioni gets your attention.
Yes, sir.
It doesn't matter who you're playing. He's got a knack for blowing a play up pretty quick. So it may be a no name, but people figure out pretty quick who your guys' leaders are.
Yes, sir.
This guy's become one of your leaders.
Yes, sir. He has back there. We kind of experienced that on the week that he was sick. He's pretty much controlling our secondary coverages back there whenever motions are going on and everything like that. So a couple days when he wasn't at practice and we weren't able to get stuff communicated, but whenever he came back, we were able to get it communicated and figured out and everybody on the same page. So that was really nice to have.
And Carter, that's not all speed. That's being a football player.
Yes, sir.
The speed's nice, don't get me wrong.
Right.
But being part of this football program, especially part of that defense, because you guys have done some different things on offense, but I always tell Coach Darden, when I think of Lubbock Cooper, I think of how well you guys have played defense the last several years. When you get up there to the varsity level, how motivating is it to be a cerebral guy, to pick things up, to understand you've got to be a thinking guy, not just a physical, fast football player?
I think that really kind of occurred to me my sophomore year. My freshman year, I kind of thought, I'm so fast, I'm just going to go down and hit people. And that's when Coach Lakeman was the defense coordinator. And he was the safeties coach before that. And he really, it stuck with me. It's more than just running around. He really got it stuck in my head. And then Coach Reed is great with that too. He's helped me just understand the game. And obviously Coach Rhodes is probably the biggest factor in that. And, I just got a lot of love for those coaches. They've made me the player who I am today more than anything.
It's funny you said that because Cal Ritz said something almost identical to that he got there and he was really fast and he was like, just let me get my ball, the ball in my hands. I'm going to make something happen. But then they had to kind of work with him and get him to fit with them. And he became a really good
yes, sir, he did.
Defensive guy.
Yeah, he did. So it was really nice having his speed back there too. So going from his speed to Carter's speed, it was still pretty nice. Both of them back there flying around to the football.
And Brennan, when you got there from Abernathy and kind of surveyed kind of what I talked about, how good Cooper historically is defensively, how nice is that to step into a role where you're getting to work with guys that have that expectation, have those fundamentals, but also that expectation of sticking to slowing teams down, of not giving up real easily on defense.
Yeah, it was really nice whenever I got there because I went with D-line whenever I first started, so I was around Kyler Jordan a lot, and Coach
bad guy
Lynch
to
and
be
Coach
around.
Taylor, and learned a ton about our defense and just about football in general from them, and just having them there, like, ready for me to ask questions, and not really them denying me any to say, but learned a lot from them, and it's been fun.
Kyler, less attention than the quarterback for Baylor the other day, Sawyer Robertson, but Kyler had a really good game against Texas Tech. They broke some hearts here in Lubbock.
Yes, sir.
Sawyer and Kyler, and Kevin Curtis, who has a connection to Lubbock as well. We were just talking about Kevin Curtis, in fact. So you guys are 6-1, am I right? 6-1.
Yes, sir.
4-0 in district. You're very good, in very good shape playoff-wise. You've already secured. You've already got some stuff in the bag. You can take care of business. We're going to talk a lot about Memorial when we come back from the break. But last week I thought was an important win because it was against a different kind of opponent than you've seen in Palo Duro. Had never seen them before. They were a very athletic, very talented group. They made your defense work.
Yeah.
At 31-20 up at Dick Bivens Stadium, which former Coronado coach Seth Parr used to always tell me that when Lubbock teams go to Amarillo, you're already down 10-0. Now take what you want from that, just the whatever. You guys didn't let that phase you. And Karter, short answer here, playing against Palo Duro, how much does that prepare you now for these next couple of weeks where there's so much at stake for you?
I think just it being away in the district game is the biggest factor, and it'll show, I think, in these next 2 weeks for sure.
And you're a fast guy. You saw some speed across from you against Palo Duro. They had guys who every guy who touched the ball was capable of hitting a home run.
Yes, sir. They had some playmakers, and I think it'll ultimately help us, especially these next 2 weeks in the playoffs.
Pirates are at home Friday night against Wichita Falls Memorial, which it's a new name, it's a new school, but it's very similar to Wichita Falls Rider, that it had become one of the Pirates' biggest rivals since 2018. That game is right here on on 100.7 The Score. I'm trying to slide Friendship's game onto you guys' time slot. 100.7 The Score, 6:30 pregame with Tommy Wood. I think Chuck Darden will be with him, and I don't know if Chris Level will jump in. Chris Level kind of does what he wants, so I think we all know that. That's a big game for them because Cooper's undefeated. Memorial's got one loss, but they head into this one not desperate, but looking for a win. We'll be back to talk more Pirate football on the Pirate Fan Zone on 100.7 The Score.
Keeping you up to date on the Cooper Pirates. This is the Pirate Fan Zone on 100.7 The Score.
Welcome back into the Pirate Fan Zone. The Patriot Fan Zone follows us, and that's going to be a basketball focus with Parker Hicks from Liberty. So we're going to run through the radio schedule real quick, the football radio schedule on Raymar Networks and otherwise. Thursday night, Coronado goes up to Amarillo High, Dick Bivens Stadium, 7 p.m. That's on 96.9 The Bull. Midland Holy Cross comes to town to play Kingdom Prep. That's not on the radio, but that's out at Warwick Memorial Stadium, 7 p.m., I believe. Friday night, Odessa High is at Friendship on Double T 97.3 FM. Lubbock High is at Caprock at Dick Bivens Stadium, not on our air, but Mark Bro and Rob Bro will have the call on that. These guys, the Pirates, are at home against Wichita Falls Memorial. We're going to talk a lot more about that right here on 100.7 The Score. Estacado's at home at the Lowry Field game against Borger, not on our air, but Nick Long will have a very familiar voice on Saturday morning quarterback. We'll have the call along with Greg Norman on that one. Idalou goes up to Littlefield. That's on 97.7 FM. Brennan, I'm going to guess you were involved in a couple of games back then in your year at Abernathy against Idalou.
Yes, sir.
With Littlefield also?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yeah,
So
we
those
did play Littlefield that year.
And you're from Snyder, so you're from one of those West Texas towns with one school. Those places take it pretty serious.
Yes, sir, they do. Yeah. Growing up in Snyder, that was just kind of the thing. Football ruled all there, and it was fun to be a part of.
So when I got to Lubbock in '97, do you know who the coach at Snyder would have been back then?
I do not.
It was David Baugh.
Okay.
You know who David Baugh's
Yes, sir.
father, right? His father was Sammy Baugh.
Yes, sir.
So when the people are starting to throw his name out, I'm like, well, that'll get your attention. So
Absolutely.
And who was your varsity coach when you played there?
So Chad Rogers was mine one year, and then Aubrey Sims came in my senior year.
And you played for a very young assistant coach back then in middle school.
Yes, sir. Coach Roy.
Coach Andrew Roy. Who's
We
now
go
the
way
Coronado
back.
Coach.
Probably going to age him a little bit. But
Well, that's all right.
He was my junior high coach first, and then ended up being my JV football coach, too.
He's got 3 or 4 daughters, right?
3.
Well,
yes.
he's aging at a nice clip anyway. I'm a 2-time girl dad, so I can say that. Karter, Wichita Falls Memorial, it's a new name, but you guys are going to see a lot of familiar schemes and faces. And I don't know that you played against Ryder. I think Chip told me that none of you guys have played a varsity game against Ryder back when that rivalry was so alive and well. But when you've started to look at them this week, what gets your attention from a defensive standpoint about Memorial?
The thing that stands out the most, I think, is definitely their running back. Last year he was really good too.
Go ahead.
But last year the varsity, they shut him down early. I got in a little at that in that game, but I think we won that one 38-7. So I think if we get to shutting him down early, then and make him throw the ball RPO, then we'll be in a good position to win that game.
Kenji Johnson is their standout running back. He's topped 1,000 yards in 6 games, so he's doing some stuff right. It looks like their quarterback is Joe Castles, who is Jed Castles. Is he down the street here at Texas Tech? Am I correct about that?
No, I think he went to ACU this year.
All right,
Yep.
but his brother was the big tight end who was at Ryder,
Yes.
who had some pretty impressive nights against Lubbock Cooper a few times. So there's some good bloodlines there. See what if it's little brother's 6'6". So
Yes.
there's some lengthy genes.
Yeah. He's
in
an
that
athlete
family.
too. So
When you get ready for them, Brennan, what do you see about their offense?
I think they're well-rounded everywhere. Like if we stop the run, they've got athletes on the outside that can hurt us too. We just got to be pretty physical the whole game. And like Coach Reed said this week, we need to be better playing tired this week.
Yeah, that's a good point because you had a couple of blowouts where you guys are gracious enough to get young guys in there. So your varsity guys hadn't played a full game in a while, and they're 17 and 18. They don't think about it much. They're just being kids. But then they get out there and they realize, my body's not quite used to this. So did you feel that what Coach said, the need to play tired, is that a key for you guys?
I think so, as a defense as a whole. I mean, I run track, so I'm pretty in shape, but I mean, I was still feeling tired, and with it coming back from that sickness 2 weeks ago, I think we just have to tackle mostly when we're tired.
Yeah, that's the thing.
Yep.
It's easy to. That's the first fundamental. Sometimes when you're not feeling good or feeling worn out. Now you guys have been tested defensively. You've played some really good teams, really good offenses. Friendship, Lovejoy, and then Palo Duro, different look last week. So you guys feel like you've prepared for just about anything. But this is going to be a test for you these next 2 weeks. But we're not. I promise Chip we won't talk about that one. I'll follow the coach's mantra and go 1 week at a time. And I mentioned before last break, Lubbock Cooper's undefeated in district. Memorial has the one loss, but that one loss was to Abilene Wiley on a last-second field goal.
Yes, on the last
Late in the
field
game,
goal.
I know for sure. And I'll go ahead and mention Abilene Wiley sitting out there undefeated in district as well. That's Lubbock Cooper's opponent next week. So those 3 teams are kind of the 3 to keep an eye on out of that district. So every time these 3 meet each other, it's a big deal. That is 7 p.m. Friday at Pirate Stadium right here on 100.7 The Score. We'll be back after the break on the Pirate Fan Zone.
The Pirate Fan Zone on 100.7 The Score. Game on, Pirates.
Welcome back to the final segment of the Pirate Fan Zone on 100.7 The Score. I am Randy Rosetta. We've got Brenon Rhodes, special teams coordinator and defensive backs coach. Safeties or all of them?
Safeties, yes.
You guys-
Coach Perez is the corners coach.
You guys get to split it up out there, and it's effective.
Yes, sir.
You guys have to be a little bit like kids in the candy store coaching this group of guys.
Yes, sir.
And Karter Gentry, one of the guys he gets to coach. Big game this week, Wichita Falls Memorial. We're going to keep beating the dead horse on that. 7 p.m. Friday at Pirate Stadium on 100.7 The Score. You guys focus a lot on the defense, but you've watched your offense evolve these last few years. Brendan, you said this is your 4th year. Karter, you've been around these guys for a long time. How much has it helped you defensively to see your offense become a little – now, last week was the exception. Last week, I think Chip kind of channeled his Barry Switzer at halftime and said, we're just gonna do this. But for the most part, you guys have been a little bit more versatile. He told me they went up and looked at my Kansas Jayhawks and got some pointers from them. But Karter, watching your offensive guys change things and become a little bit more diverse, how much is that? You're friends with all those guys. First of all, how has that changed the way they approach the game?
I think it's just a lot more of a team aspect other than like it being split between offense and defense. You know, we're in it together. We're a team. And it's just so explosive with Deaver and then Deuce. I mean, he stepped up big after Jackson went down. Ryan's a stud. There's so many studs on the offense, and it's just, as a defensive player, great to have an offense like that.
And then Ryan has very rare, and I know since you've been here, Brennan, you guys have never had a sophomore quarter because he's the first one that Lubbock Cooper, this may go back pre-Max Catwinkle, where maybe even your father-in-law started a sophomore back in the day.
Yeah.
And he looked like a sophomore at times last year, not horribly, just a sophomore quarterback stepping in. That's a big deal. Boy, he grew up during the offseason and has been a major difference maker for you guys.
Yes, sir. I think really even last year during the season, he grew up the whole time, just doing things that maybe we haven't had a quarterback do in a long time as a sophomore, just being smart with the football and not trying to force things. So
he's got the knack. Now, I'll say this, a lot of your previous quarterbacks have also been baseball guys, and he's a baseball guy too, so there's that cerebral part to it that you talked about Karter having that. They can kind of think different. The thing that's struck me about him and about Chip and the offensive coach's confidence in him, and I go back to the Tascosa game, it was 3rd and 9, I believe, at one point. And instead of running the ball because they have a great defense to put back out on the field, they ran a little waggle, little play action thing. And it was the big number 80, trying to think the receiver's name, 81. I can't think of his name off.
Reed Waters?
Yes.
Yep.
Threw it to him, made a great catch.
Yes.
Also, I think the touchdown catch by Devers was a 3rd down play. So he's doing things on 3rd down that maybe you guys haven't done in the past, which has got to help your confidence as a defense, Karter, to know, hey, these guys can be out on the field a little bit longer. We can just sit here and watch.
Right, yeah. Ryan's legit, and then they're just playmakers. They're going to make plays, especially a lot of those juniors like Reed and Cade, and they've stepped up this year, and it really helps the team as a whole.
And something that Chip has talked a lot about is the offensive line coming on week by week, which to me is a sign of you guys doing your job in practice on defense. You're testing them. You're helping them grow up. You know some of those guys too, Karter.
Oh, yeah.
How have they evolved this last 6-7 weeks to become a better unit up there?
The O-line or D-line?
The O-line.
O-line. So I think the leader of that line is Hudson Hamilton.
Yep.
And there's a lot of young guys like Bobby. You know, there's we have a sophomore, and then he just coaches them up. And Hayes is a great coach, and he's hard on them, so they're only going to get better. And then our O-line's known for being good. So
going up against Sione and those guys every day in practice, that's going to grow you up whether you want to or not. They're going to hurt your feelings if you don't.
Yeah, those guys up there also help us back in the secondary.
Yes.
When it comes to coverages too. So if they can get some pressure, it's going to help us tremendously on coverage stuff.
They don't get their names said enough, so let's do that real quick. Sione Gaia gets mentioned a lot. Jackson Sewell gets mentioned a lot. Who are those other guys up front?
Caden Brown and Pat Garcia are two.
Caden Brown, the part-time quarterback, which is just cool to me.
Yes,
to
sir.
think of. He just comes in and I'm going to run the ball now.
Yes, sir.
But those guys have been – you guys had Kobe and Kyler. You had some pretty good guys up front not too long ago, but they've been a very big key to what you guys are doing defensively.
Yes, sir, they have been. They, like I said, if they can stop the run and then get pressure on the quarterback, it helps us tremendously.
And they're going to take aim at that Friday night against Wichita Falls Memorial. This is Randy Rosetta. We'll be back after the break with the Patriot Fan Zone on 100.7 The Score.